appreciate coming to fan club banquets like this because it may sound like an overworked term and phrase, but you really are the heart of the matter. And it's so nice to be able to come to a situation like this where not only where we have genuine fans who are involved in the program, but racetrack promoters, racetrack owners, race car drivers, team owners. And by the way, those of you who know me well recognize I'm sounding a little different. I had something in my throat. It felt like a throat full of gravel for about a week and a half, and not been able to shake it. I want to also thank my unofficial host and hostess of the weekend. Dr. Harlan Hunter and his wife Joanne and their daughter Julianne are kind enough to basically be my host for this weekend. I know all of you are well aware of them and their contributions they have made to the Speedway, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. When I look out and I see the Schraders, the Wallaces, and the Wenties, all the people that go along with that, to the Standridges and the Knippers, obviously a lot of memories begin to swell up inside. And particularly when I look at Kenny Schrader, I mean, you always have a lot of memories, don't you, that swell up inside? I remember back in had to be 80 or 81. In those days, ESPN was in its fledgling stages, and myself and Bob Jenkins, of course, were anchoring the broadcast. This particular one was taking place in Terre Haute, Indiana, a place they called the Action Track. And Kenny Schrader was running that gumball yellow number 39, that Blackie Fortune campaign. And Kenny was way out in front of the main event. It was televised, it was taped, it was not live. And having a very, very successful day. About 7 or 8 laps from the finish, the car began to spew all kinds of smoke. And you could see Schrader fumbling around in the cockpit trying to figure out what to do. And sure enough, he looked down on one of the laps as he was tearing down the front straightaway. As he looked down, the car jumped the cushion. He was further into the number 1 corner than he thought. The car bicycled up, and he got upside down. And as I mentioned, this was on tape, so the red flag goes out. And with the huge budget, of course, that ESPN had in those days, I was also the pit reporter as well as the co-anchor. So I had to jump down from the stand there in the number 1 corner and go down to the track level. And it was my job to interview Ken Schrader. It was not a serious accident, so there was no concern that Kenny might have been injured. And so I barely get down there. Kenny gets out of the race car and go over to Kenny and start talking to him. I said, "Kenny, you were having a great day. What were you thinking when you were laying there upside down? You had this race in the bag." And he looks over at me and he says, "Larry, I'll tell you what. Believe it or not, I knew you were coming. I was trying to figure out what I was going to say to you in front of this TV audience." I remember, again, another Schrader story. This goes back to the February that he first picked up the Junie Dunleavy Winston Cup ride. And frankly speaking, the good old boys down in the South had no idea what to expect from Kenny Schrader. And ESPN was down there doing some live remote work. I think Speed Week that particular night was a Thursday. It was supposed to be on the air live. And of course, Schrader had never done anything, and it had been since the 1890s, since Junie Dunleavy's car had won a race. But prior to one of the twin 125s, we were scurrying around looking for some live guests for our show that evening. And we couldn't get anybody, so we settled for Schrader. But lo and behold, I don't know how many of you remember, but that first year in Junie Dunleavy's car, the winner of one of the twin 125s was Kenny Schrader, which was one of the biggest surprises and one of the biggest coups I think that we at ESPN ever pulled off in our broadcasting history. No one predicted, of course, that Schrader would win. I also remember that same year, Kenny. I don't mean to get lodged on Kenny Schrader's stories, but I was not aware that I was going to speak tonight. And when I came here, Lois said, "Yeah, we want you up there." So the Schrader stories are rolling off my head. That same year, if you remember, he was doing very well. And Julianne, thank you for reminding me of this. At the firecracker race, he was running inside the top 5, I believe, coming down for the checkered flag at the firecracker race. And he got into trouble, the car got out of shape coming down the front straightaway. Those days, aerodynamics were not what they are now. Swooped up, landed upside down, went sliding across the track, ruined Harry Gant's chances of winning. And they had the in-car camera, ABC did, in Kenny's car and Junie's car at the time. Well, I was home that weekend, and ABC, of course, made a big deal of the replay. They had the in-car camera, which continued to work while the car was upside down, sliding down the front straightaway. And in the replay, the show took place, the actual television show, about an hour and a half later. They had the moments that the safety crew came to Kenny Schrader while upside down in the car. Well, Kenny was having a very, very hard time getting out of the car. We had just gone to the window nets. Well, ABC didn't realize, and Kenny, I don't know if you and Annie even know that this happened, but Kenny was issuing some profanities about the window nets, saying that these blankety blank window nets, I'm telling you, they're a bad deal. Kenny Schrader, do you remember that? Well, ABC, the people who are doing the taping or setting up the replay for the show, they weren't in tune to what race drivers do and say in moments like that. Well, I was. And believe it or not, this did get out on the air, but unless you knew exactly what the race driver was likely to say, you didn't know there was a string of profanities being issued, but it really did get out on the air. So my stories that I recall about Kenny Schrader. I'm also supposed to talk to you a little bit about this year. This is probably the toughest audience to talk to about a reminiscence of the current racing year, because if anybody is hip and aware of what's going on in the world of motorsport, it would be an audience like this. But just some reflections. I will tell you this, that all the banquets that I've been involved in to this point this winter, all the race sanctioning bodies, and even some of the track promoters, have been very grateful to those paying customers who frequented the racetracks across America this year, because despite the economy, yeah, there's some racetracks, just like everyone else in this spectrum of the economy that we have, they're struggling. But for the most part, racetracks look like they're going to survive. It looks like our sport is going to survive. So that's the first feelings and recollections that I have. I think it's been a very difficult year from the standpoint of tragedy. And I must admit that this is probably colored with a lot of personal feelings, because unfortunately I happen to be very close to these situations. But it's also 4 situations that gets very close to the people in this room. But there's one note of irony, and I wanted to share it with you about the tragedies. You all know that approximately 14, 15 months ago now, we lost Rich Vogler at Salem, Indiana. Danny Milburn died in a Silver Crown Championship dirt car in February at Phoenix. And Billy Vukovich III died in a sprint car last November. As a matter of fact, Billy died a year ago tomorrow. It was the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend. And approximately 45 days ago, Kara Hendrick, probably one of the most promising, if not the most promising lady driver in this country, died on a midget. It was a very interesting connection between all of that. In the Rich Vogler accident, Jeff Gordon was following Rich Vogler. Officially, he was credited with second place in the race. USAC at that time had a rule that even if you were involved in an accident, but a race was called, you were given the position you were running in the last lap. Rich Vogler was leading that race before it was red flagged, and he was officially declared the winner of his final race, the race in which he died. Jeff Gordon was second. The Danny Milburn accident in Phoenix, Jeff Gordon won the race. The Billy Vukovich accident at the Mesa Marin in California, Jeff Gordon won the race. And the connection between Jeff and Kara, they were friends, very good friends, as children, as early as 5 years of age. So I thought that was extremely ironic that Jeff was the common denominator, and I think very few people will challenge the suggestion that he certainly is part of the future of this sport. And I thank God and I thank the racing gods that he has survived. So many of my friends in this room participated in open wheel racing. And I got to tell you, Bobby Winnie and Terry Winnie and Steve Knepper and Arnie Knepper, if Arnie could be here tonight, there is no question that I have more respect for open wheel drivers than anybody in the country. Yep, I know it's tough running Winston Cup, and I know it's very difficult to succeed. Just ask Kenny or Rusty Wallace. It's very, very difficult to succeed in that. But for my way of thinking, there is just no more expression of dedication and bravery in the sport of motor racing than running open wheelers. And I would never suggest to any of my friends not to do it, but boy, I just say think twice about it because they're really tough. Looking back again at the 1991 season, I think it was inevitable that Michael Andretti was going to have a year like this. I long thought that given a specialized skill of driving an Indianapolis car, Michael Andretti is the best. Yes, Al Unser Jr. is probably more versatile, and if you're going to go after more than one championship in a given season, particularly if it involves two different kinds of cars, Al's the guy you probably want to look toward. Kenny Schrader certainly's got to be in there, doesn't he? But as far as a narrowly defined skill of Indianapolis car racing, I guarantee you, Michael Andretti, he was always the best one. Looking to Winston Cup, how unusual of a season where the team that I suggest, given the competition that they are racing against in the modern era, the team that I suggest may be the best in the history of Winston Cup, almost broke up near the end of this season, if we are to believe all those things you hear. I will tell you, and let's go on record publicly here, that Dale Earnhardt and Richard Childress have said, and you've got to believe them, that there are no deep-rooted personal differences. You wonder how rumors start like that, but I will tell you one thing, and something I get involved with a lot nowadays, is sponsor hunting. What's very important to sponsors is what is going on off the racetrack. That is so critical, you wouldn't believe it. And I think there is a good lesson there, a lesson that was almost learned, and thank goodness we had to have no sacrifices to learn that lesson. ASA, I think they came a long ways in the 1991 season. They got their 5 races live on the National Network. Prime Network started televising more motor racing in 1991 than ever before. I think that is good for the sport. I do believe, however, that there is a potential danger of oversaturation. Professional wrestling, sometimes we can be related to that, not always, but professional wrestling in the 1950s was overexposed on television. And I hope that that does not happen to motor racing. Although, for people like Schrader and me who are looking for work, it's good there's a lot of races on TV. There's Dorsey. There's always a place to go to find work. But those are some of my thoughts of the 1991 season. For those of you who labor in the trenches of motor racing, that is running the local racetracks, God bless you. Because no matter how strong CART is, or wishes that it could be, and how about that, almost not getting 33 cars for the Indianapolis 500-mile race, or how strong NASCAR and Winston Cup is, or how strong we wish that the SCCA was, none of it would be possible if it weren't for all of you running every Friday, Saturday night, sometimes on Sunday afternoons. So on behalf of everybody, promoters, race fans, sometimes journalists alike, thank you very much. One of the things tonight that has been put together for you is a montage. It's an audio-video presentation. The history of the motorsport, if you will, since the 1950s. And none of us here at the head table have seen this. I'm told that there is land speed record material in it. There is short track racing, super speedway racing. So if you could start that audio-video presentation. And I'm also told that this end of the room may have a hard time seeing it. So just for the purposes of these next 10 minutes, if you would like to stand up and gravitate down toward this end of the room, there are some chairs, but they're kind of scattered around. Do feel free to do so. Don't feel self-conscious about not doing it if you want to see the presentation. A gentleman who, over the past, 10 years or so, has become one of the most versatile race drivers, if not one of the most famous race drivers in all of America. Bobby Wendy, no, it's not you, so stay down, Bobby. And someone that I think that the city of St. Louis certainly has a lot to be proud of. And before I drag it out too long, Dorsey Schrader, everybody. Now I want to know, I asked you this before we started dinner, do you not know how to pronounce your last name or not know how to spell it?
Well, my father did that to me. It wasn't my fault.
Well, if you don't know what we're talking about, the name does not look like Schrader at all. It looks like Schroeder, right?
No.
But you pronounce it Schrader just like the other Schrader here in this town.
No. And I always said that he was my younger but not as good-looking brother.
Now, I hear some notes of discord out in the audience. Was that a Ken Schrader note of discord?
No, it's
Oh, another Schrader. Well, Dorsey, let's fill us in. Fill your hometown crowd in here as to what it looks like for 1992. And it's not a really pretty picture yet, is it?
Well, Ford Motor Company, I've had that association now for 4 years, and it's been a really good one. Not one I choose to end, and I don't think it really will end, but they have chosen to go kart racing. Of course, they bought the Cosworth engine and the Andretti's, and that was a $20 million some odd dollar venture, and the programs that got cut, unfortunately, were mine. So that's no laughing matter, absolutely. But they're staying behind me, and I've had a sponsor with Whistler Radar Detectors, and they want to continue that relationship. We've been trying to get into Winston Cup racing with Kenny and Rusty and the Wallaces, and unfortunately, Russ in his younger day must have been one hell of a guy because there's not much left after all those sons. But no, I mean, we're trying to put something together. I wish I could announce something, but I can't. We're putting a program together, hopefully to do whatever we can to get by this year. We're going to continue. This is my 20th year in racing. Road racing in St. Louis isn't the strongest venue, and I know that. And I've gone into Winston Cup and been humbled.
Tell us about that, the humbling experience with Winston Cup.
Well, actually, I go back to IROC because that's where it started. I went to IROC the first time. I've never been on an oval my entire life, except I watched Russ, Rusty, Kenny, all the guys at Lake Hill. My father lived a quarter mile from there. I went down there and snuck across the railroad tracks every night just to piss off that big cop. I could have bought my way in, but that guy was there, and it was one of the highlights to get in, and then as you went out, he was the same guard, and he'd be like,
"How did you get in?"
Yeah, you got it. So that was fun. He wanted to shoot me really bad. But I watched those guys, and I always wanted to do that, and IROC came along after I won the Trans Am Championship in '89, and my first oval ever was Talladega. And that was an eye-opener. It really was.
Jumping into the deep end of the pool. Yeah.
But that's how you do it, I think. And it was great fun. I had a good time there, and then I went back this year, and I got real kind of muddied, if you will. I don't know if those of you saw that, but 20 years of racing, I've never been upside down before, and seldom have I gone 200 miles an hour. But I was having a hell of a good time up until that all happened.
You can imagine doing both 200 miles an hour and upside down at the same time.
Yeah, well, Rusty did it. He told me he said, you're a little dirtier than I was, but it was on the, it was the same kind of deal. But it was fun. I'm trying to get in the Winston Cup. Jack Roush has been a great supporter of mine and a good team owner for 4 years, and he is vowed to help me get this thing put together. And Ford's not helping him right now, and we're going to do whatever we can. We're going to sell this thing race by race, and we're going to do whatever we got to do to make it happen. And Dorsey Schrader's not done that.
In the meantime, I was very fascinated to hear your winter project, which you've been working on for 6 months. Totally out of character, at least so I thought. Tell us about that.
Which one?
I got to tell you the clean one because your wife's here. Okay? No, just kidding. The model.
Well, there's several models. Actually, Jack Roush put together the thing with Mark Martin's car and with my car and my 25th anniversary car that I won the championship with, and Ravel came up with some models and put them together. And I had a fan, and any race car driver knows that the fans they're number one. And this young kid came up to me, I think in California, and there was a big line of people who were doing an autograph session, and he came up, had a big bag, and he said, "Mr. Schrader," he said, I'd like you to autograph this for me. And he pulled out a model, which was a 10th scale radio control model. And it was an identical replica of our Whistler Cougar at the time I won the championship with in '90. And it was better than my race car ever looked. And I said, well, could you ever do this for me in the Mustang format? And he said, oh, sure. So last month, he showed up with this model. He sent it to my house. And he said, well, it cost me $45 to do this. Give me $35 and an autograph from you and Jack Roush, and I'll be thankful. So I got Jackson his autograph, gave him a $100 bill. And it is the best, the most pristine model I've ever seen. And since that point in time, he's made me a modeler. I was never a modeler. I never had the patience, but now I'm sitting down and I'm detailing every single bit to do exactly what the 25th anniversary Mustang was about, because as I get older, I won't remember it anymore, and I want to make it just like it was.
6 months and you've not even had one of the pieces off the tree yet. You're still painting.
I'm still painting, and I'm not a great painter, and it might take another 10, 12 years.
All right. Dorsey Schrader, everybody, we have an award for you, Doris. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upstage you. They didn't tell me you were going to be presenting it. Would you like to verbally present it all? No. Let me read it then here. It says, presented to Dorsey, that's Schrader, you're right, okay. In recognition of your many racing accomplishments and your extra efforts in promoting the sport of racing from the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club. Round of applause for Dorsey Schrader, everybody.
Any last thoughts, Doris? I want to thank all the St. Louis fans. You know, I never realized you were so thick, so many. I get down to Winston Cup, and people come and see me, and they say, well, I knew your dad, and this and that. My father passed away on the 2nd of this month, and for him, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Larry did make mention of a few of the drivers with that. One of the ARCA drivers, one of the up-and-coming stars, was killed down at Talladega this past May, Chris Gerke. Also, a St. Louis midget driver, Shannon Finley, was also killed earlier this year. And most recent, one of the Highland Speedway drivers, I understand he sustained to a heart attack, Ed Caney. And we'll definitely remember their families and wish them Godspeed. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce a lady that she's been around for 10 years as president of the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club. And she has really worked. The last 2 years at Springfield and DuQuoin, we have seen the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club represented. I might say they are represented quite well. They have their T-shirt booths. They have the club journeys to the Indianapolis time trials. They go to Talladega. And a lot more stuff is in store for this up-and-coming season. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the president of the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club, Miss Lois Taylor.
Thank you, Jim. I'm one of those victims of what Larry Nuber says. He's got gravel in his throat. He's going to sound like me in about a week. That's how long I've had this. I'd like to welcome you all to our 25th annual banquet. My remarks, I had some things laid out earlier in the day, and the voice is getting worse and worse. But we're going to try to limp through the evening. I do have a few things I would like to say to you tonight. There's a beer company in town, and they serve a lot of beer products at various racetracks. And they have a slogan that says, this beer is for you. Well, all you race car drivers and race car fans, this night is for you from the fan club. I'd like to thank Sherry Staff and Linda Walsh for the fantastic job that they did with the photography company in putting the video together, and I think they deserve a round of applause. Normally, I would recognize the associations and the other people that are here, but in the interest of getting through this, I'm not going to do that except to refer you to your program booklet and to say that I think we have representatives from every organization here tonight, and I thank all those officers and behind-the-scene participants who put those racing shows on. The 1991 racing season was really successful for the St. Louis area. It was good for the fan club. As Jim said, we went to many different places, tried to make every racetrack at least once. Most of them we got to twice. Tonight's event, I think, is history for us, and it is also the fulfillment of a dream of Dale Mueller. And Dale's wife is here, Grace. I'd like for Grace to stand up, please. Grace Mueller Sullivan. In 1955, Grace and Dale had a dream of having a fan club, and with a number of people from the St. Louis area, and there are some of them here tonight, Rocky and Peggy Rhodes, Wally and Doris Hammett. I could just, the Fries, I could just go through and mention all the racing names, but they made that happen. And one of the things that Dale wanted was to have a banquet of champions. And he eventually got to do that. The first one was held in January 25 years ago, and I'm proud to be the president of the organization for this 25th one. I think we produced some wonderful, successful race car drivers, whether they be men or women. I think they're a class act. And it is a real pleasure to be able to do this kind of a thing, and I hope that 25 years from now we'll be somewhere else celebrating the 50th anniversary. There are names here tonight, and I'm not going to try to mention a lot of them, but as you saw in the video, Webb Spalding, the Ropers, you just go on and on, Knappers. We have an awful lot to be proud of in the St. Louis area. Donnie Klein, Hammerly, from the Southwestern organization. They have 30 years of drivers back here. With that, I would like to close. I'll be coming back to do a few special awards throughout the program. But I hope you have a good time tonight. And as I said earlier, remember that slogan, because this party's for you.
We don't want you to leave right now. Linda Walsh, if you would come to the platform, please. Linda? Where's Linda? Okay. Linda, by the way, is the vice president of the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club, and she has a very special award to kick the awards off tonight.
We have a special award for Lois. Lois has been our president for the last 10 years, and she's moving on to bigger and better things, but we're still going to make her stay involved with us. And we hope this isn't her last year involved, but we'd just like to present her with this plaque for all her years of service, and we'd like to give her a lifetime membership to the club.
Lifetime membership, wow. I thought that only happened when you were 90 years old or something. I really don't know what to say. We've got a great bunch of officers. We've had a great group of officers before. Some of the officers from the original banquet are in the audience tonight, and I recognize them. And I accept this award for all of you because I love racing. No matter what I do, it'll always be there with me. And there's a lot of things to do in racing, whether you drive, or if you're an official, or if you pay your money to sit in the stands. And I hope all of you will keep that with you and keep coming out to the racetracks because I know I will. Thank you.
Well, I suggest one thing next year at Springfield and DuQuoin, have umbrellas or raincoats. Because, boy, let me tell you, we got wet up there this year. Right now, we're going to move on to our national champions. And we're going to start things off. We're going to get into the Wallace family right now. We've heard quite a bit about the Schrader family and the Schrader family. So we're moving on now to the Wallace family. And right now, we want to present a special award to Kenny Wallace. Kenny's not with us tonight. He has some contract proposals he had to see after. But Kenny had a fantastic year at the Busch Grand National Series. He finished second in the point standings, and to accept his award, Mike Wallace. And just as soon as Mike gets the award, we're going to turn it over to Mike, and he'll ask Mike a few questions and get a couple of interviews with some of these guys.
Mike Mike, once again, congratulations to your brother Kenny, and I know he did a fine job. I'm sure you'd like to have a similar season in 1992. What's up for Mike Wallace next year?
Well, we got a red range here for next year. I'm signed to drive for Dick Moroso in the full Busch Car National schedule, and we're going to run 5 Winston Cup races: Daytona, 2 Charlottes, and 2 Atlanta.
Had to be great having the whole family down there in Atlanta this year. What was the feeling, your brothers and you together again on a racetrack? And we're not just talking about any racetrack. We're talking about Atlanta. We're talking NASCAR, all the hoop, the holler, the sponsorship. These things are just weekly state fairs almost in some cities. They bring in thousands of people, a lot of activity, and you guys are all there together.
Well, it was really unique because it happened in Atlanta, but it also happened in Phoenix. It was the first time in 35 years that 3 brothers had ever run a Winston Cup race. You know, it's pretty hard to describe. The one nice thing about it, they were talking earlier about the fans here in St. Louis and the support we have. And, you know, we were talking about it the other day, and there's very few parts of the country that can ever say they got 4 people, the Wallaces and Kenny Schrader, running Winston Cup cars together. So the fans here in St. Louis got a lot to be proud of.
That's absolutely right. Did you guys get to go ahead? That's right. Absolutely. That's exactly right. You don't have to do from Georgia or one of the Carolinas race for those boys down there. Tell me about the pre-race activity. Did you guys get together and kind of jaw each other a little bit about who was going to do what and where?
No, to be honest with you, the press made more of it than we did. It happened in Phoenix was when it first happened. We went to Atlanta and it happened the second time. It was kind of, we ended up there and never paid much attention to it. And then some of the media people took hold of it and they really made a big issue out of it. It was nice. There was a lot of press in Phoenix for the first time. And then Atlanta, because the Flock brothers, they had dedicated some ceremonial time to them. And they were the last brothers that had ever been involved in, 3 brothers. So it really took on a big media event, big exposure. We were just real happy with it. And the nicest thing, Mom and Dad were there to watch it all.
Had to be a great weekend. Once again, Mike, congratulations. You had a great year. Best of luck to you in 1992. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Wallace, Kenny, and Rusty. Rusty cannot be here tonight, but we're going to have another part of the Wallace family we'd like to talk to in just a second. Jim?
And we'll continue on with the Wallace Family Hour. As everyone knows, Rusty, a former Winston Cup driving champion, was invited this year to the International Race of Champions. And Rusty Wallace, being the driver that he is, he won the 1991 International Race of Champions. And to accept Rusty's award for such an accomplishment such as the International Race of Champions, a guy that has been through thick and thin, I'm sure that he has taught his boys well, and I'm sure he's pulled his hair out a few times. The guy behind the Wallace, without him there wouldn't be these guys, Russ Wallace.
Russ, come on over here, buddy. You don't know where to go. He's not too. Step up here. Let me have a few words with Russ, if you would, please. First of all, congratulations on having such a great family. I know you've got to really be a proud pop with these kids.
I'm a very good speaker, and I never was good for this, but my kids are real good at it.
All right, Russ, you kind of supported them for the first part of their life. Are they sending any money back home now other than the big time?
Really, they give it to you for that.
All right, down there in Atlanta, I know you were down there. You really had to be proud in there. What were your feelings? What was going through your mind? I know if you could, you wanted them all to cross the finish line dead even. But how did it feel down there?
Well, you just have to be there to experience it. There's no way you can tell the feeling. It's nerve-wracking, and it's fun, and everything's great.
Russ, you've had a lot of great memories up to this point, and I know you're going to have a lot of great more to come. Congratulations on having an outstanding family. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Russ Wallace.
He was scheduled to be here, but we've been informed that because of the storms down around Springfield, they had a very terrible time of weather last night. Larry Phillips has won this championship twice. And to accept that award, we'd like to introduce a second generation driver, Dale Roper. Dale, if you would. Dale is the son of Dean Roper, certainly no stranger to, oh, I tell you what, I think I messed up here.
Brother. It's a brother.
Dean, I didn't know you was that old. Let's give an applause for Larry Phillips. The second NASCAR Late Model Championship. We move now to aerial racing. The United Midwest Promoters. Fantastic organization. They got started a few years back. I forget how many tracks are involved, but it's throughout the United States. It's just not in one state or two states. There's several states involved. And right now, we'd like to recognize the Missouri UMP champion, Jim Durbin. While Jim is coming up here, we'd like to make mention of a race. You might want to mark it down on your calendars. It'll be October the 16th, 17th, and 18th at the Indiana State Fairground. Paramount Racing Promotions, Jerry Olson, is putting on a 3-day show at the Indianapolis Mile at the Indiana State Fairground, the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, and the UMP Late Models. So that should be very fantastic racing there. So, Mike, go ahead and say a few things to Jim.
Jim, once again, we'd like to congratulate you on your 1991 season. What's in store in 1992?
We're going to go mainly late model racing. We're trying to put together a program to go to the World 100 this year and maybe run some big stuff.
UMP has really come on in several years, the past several years. It started slow, but boy, it's really picked up, and there's a lot of competitors out there right now. It's tough to win a championship with these guys.
Yeah, well, they got the rules. Everything's real close and everything. And it's just, close racing. Got a lot of good competitors and everything.
What do you like to race? You like to race on dirt, asphalt? What's your favorite?
Oh, dirt.
Absolutely the dirt guy. No one want to race that other stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, UMP champion, Mr. Jim Durbin. Give a nice round of applause. Thank you, Jim.
At this time, we'd like to move to the Automobile Racing Club of America, ARCA. And this year, the Illinois State Fair hosted once again the Coors Allen Pro Memorial 100. This driver, too, was also slated to be here, but I believe he's at the SEMA show out in California. But Bobby Bowser, the second generation driver, won the race this year. And to accept his award, the Director of Racing for the state of Illinois, a guy that, well, I'll tell you what, he's just one of the greatest guys in the world, Mr. Bill O'Danny.
And Jim, we'd like to remind everybody that the lovely gals with us this evening presenting the trophies, Rhonda Sims and Janet Boston. Yes, absolutely, you can do that, absolutely. That's right, they're important people.
We'll continue now with the ARCA. The DuQuoin State Fair once again hosted the Southern Illinois 200. We didn't know if it was 200 laps or 200 hours. This was it's supposed to be a one-day event. But because of nature, it's the first time in quite some time that the race had to be postponed till the following day. And the winner of that one was the driver from Mokina, Illinois, Bob Strait. And to accept his award, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ray Creek. He is the second nicest guy in the world. How many was that DuQuoin for the Labor Day race? Let me tell you, I think everyone there probably witnessed some of the very best stock car and Silver Crown racing in the world. It was one fantastic racing program. A lot of racing, and we had a time barrier to get all this in. And Bill Danny and Ray Craig, Bob Logan, and Raleigh Bill got their heads together, and by Joe, we pulled it off before Garth Brooks moved in. And as everyone knows, that was a total sellout, and that show had to go on, no matter what. But once again, you know, these guys really put in an effort to bring the caliber of racing to Springfield and DuQuoin. Great guys, Bill Danny and Ray Craig. Right now, we'd like to bring up the guy that Larry Nuber was talking about earlier, and during the video we saw the crash that Larry was talking about from the Terre Haute Action Track. Kenny Schrader, if you'd come up, please. This award is a special award for the accomplishments that Kenny Schrader has put into the sport of automobile racing. Kenny's better known as the racer's racer, no matter what it is: midgets, sprints, championship dirt cars, stock cars, modified, dirt late models. He's done it all. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Schrader.
Well, Ken, we've got you back again here in the St. Louis area. First of all, I'd like to personally thank you for all the trips you do make back to the area. You bring a lot of excitement and activity when you come back, and I know there are a lot of people that are glad to see you. 1991 was not a bad season for Kenny Schrader. Again, consistently, you finished in the top 10. I know you were there. You were real close a lot, but luck has a way of sneaking up on you and leaving you sometimes on the racetrack, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, that's a real nice way of wording it, but where I was sitting, I just ran into a lot of shit. It was a real good year. You know, we won a couple races, which we won 2 in the first half. Thought we were looking real good, and then in the second half, things went back normal, and I started hitting stuff, and we blowed up and stuff. But we wound up 9th, and you know, we sure don't want to be 9th in Winston Cup in the Winston Cup Series point standings. But I guess there's worse spots. You know, we're happy to be there.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the car that Kenny has here this evening is a car that was involved in a crash in Atlanta.
No, not that one. They threw that one away. This one was involved in a crash too, though. We took that car to Daytona and for the 500, because the first one we took down there, it crashed in the bush plate. So we got that one out and started back to 125, and didn't run real good. Finished someplace, started towards the back of 500. Got up to about 8th. Somebody spun. I run over the windshield, knocked nose off. Finished 33rd after a bunch of laps in the pits. Took it back to Atlanta, or to Talladega. Didn't run real good. And I told him I didn't like that car, so it's a real good show car right now.
I'll give you about 5 minutes if you got any Larry Nuber stories you want to tell.
No, I don't have any Larry Nuber stories.
What's in store for 1992? Any changes, Kenny?
Well, it'll be the same basic program. Kodiak will be back for the 3rd year, and it'll be my 4th. I'm confused. I didn't think it was coming up here tonight. It'll be my 5th year with Rick Hendrick Motorsports. I've been there 4 years, just signed a new 3-year deal, so we'll be there through 7 years. We'll be back with Kodiak, primary sponsor, Exxon, EDS, Chevrolet will be back. We'll be running Lumas again. And, you know, like we're testing Tuesday and Wednesday in Atlanta, and I'm not really looking forward to going back there because it's kind of busted my butt last time there. But, you know, we got to go back and figure out what's wrong, and we're just going to try to come out better. And we've been there, we've been 5th in points, 10th in points, and 9th in points. And you want to win that championship. I mean, you know, Rusty's went down there, he's won that championship, and showed us it can be done. And he's helped me a ton. You just want to do it. You know, if you're not winning, you're not happy. And we're happy to be down there, but boy, we could be a hell of a lot happier.
Kenny, congratulations on 91 season. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Schrader. After I started
and one night Kenny got upside down in Dick's car, and being new and all, I didn't know Kenny Schrader. But, first thing you do, you run out with a microphone. That's the first thing a driver wants to see. A microphone stuck in his face after getting upside down. He just simply said, I said, Kenny, what happened? He says, well, I'm behind the philosophy, if you can't win, be spectacular. And it sounds like Kenny might have went to the old ways this year. Right now, we're going to continue with our local awards. We'd like to introduce Mike Muerer with the Allies.
Thank you, Jim. Before we get into the awards this evening, for those of you who don't know, and Lois mentioned this to us a little bit earlier in the week, we were on a conference call with Lois about the preparation of this race. And actually, this race banquet, or the Banquet of Champions tonight, was sort of a family feud deal. When the word got out that Rusty Wallace was going to be here, boy, everybody got on the phone, started calling the Wallace people, and they got together, and then all of a sudden the Schrader people heard the Wallace people were getting together, so they started calling their people and all their shirt-tail cousins and relatives and stuff like that. Right now, I'm going to ask you to stand up now, and this is by blood or by marriage only. How about the Wallace people standing up over here? Everybody with Rusty Wallace, everybody here tonight with Rusty Wallace, and that whole Wallace group, stand up. Come on, just stand up for us. You got to be here where somebody's here in the family. Stand up. Is that it? That's the 60 people that are here tonight with the Wallace family? Give the Wallace family a nice round of applause, please. I guess they all went on to play with Rusty, okay? And the Schrader family was somebody, can't he just stand up and point to the people in the area where you're at down there with the Schrader family? Somebody back there. There they are, way in the back, by the ice machine. There they are. Give them a nice round of applause, everybody down there with the Schrader group. All right, Allied time. We'd like to bring forward now the season champions with the Allied Auto Racing Association. We'd like to start with the Street Stockers first. The champion at I-55 this year was Mr. Dave Wibbenmeyer. Dave Wibbenmeyer is here this evening. David? Come on up, Dave. We got a trophy with presentation for you. Dave won down at I-55. It's his first championship. He was a 1989 rookie. He was real happy that he was able to get through the 1991 season and become the champion. Say smile. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dave Wibbenmeyer from I-55. I was fortunate enough to be a part of Allied's Belclair Speedway program for half the season. I saw this next gentleman run his race car. I liked his style. I called him Mad Max. He was a Belclair champion and the overall street stock champion in 1991, Max Kirkendall. Mad Max. Sorry, buddy. Max also does some WWF stuff on the weekends.
Smile, Max.
Give a nice round of applause. Max Kirkendall, the Belclair champion overall. This next gentleman I'm going to present is the Limited Sportsman champion. He won at I-55 and he won the championship at Belclair Speedway. He's also about to be, hopefully sometime in the next 20 minutes, a new papa for the third time. From New Athens, Illinois, Bobby Biddle, your 1991 Limited Sportsman champion with Allied. Bobby won the mid-season championship at I-55 this year. He also won 5 feature races, and that's a tough trip with Allied. It's one of the most competitive racing associations in the area. It's tough to get in, let alone make it into the feature event. And once again, we congratulate Bobby for a great 1991 season. He and his lovely wife, Hoosier Hips, are over there, and they had a great time. Give Bobby Biddle a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know about the Hoosier Hips thing, Bobby's wife was always in the pits when she wasn't pregnant, which was maybe 2 races, okay? And she was standing near the fence, and a car came through or across the racetrack, hit the front straightaway fence so hard it knocked the fence down and knocked a whole stack of tires and caught her like in midair. And it was a Hoosier tire, and she had this imprint, okay? You have to be there, okay? That's why we call her Hoosier Hips, and it has nothing to do with the size of her hips, okay? Well, now it does. Okay. In 1991, the overall modified champion was also the champion at Belquest Speedway and at I-55. He's definitely one of the men to beat on dirt in the St. Louis area. The 1991 Allied modified champion is Mr. Ed Dixon. One of the highlights this year, Ed picked up his 300 feature win. Again, he was also featured in Stock Car Magazine along with his car owner, Charlie Barzoff, his lovely wife, Sandy. We congratulate Ed for a fine season. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ed Dixon. At this time, we would like to have a special award presentation. We'd like to present the Bob Mueller Award. This award is presented by the Mueller family and Mr. Bob Quinn for the second year, and it recognizes the contributions needed to make racing successful. This award is presented to someone who works behind the scenes, and it is done in the memory of Mr. Bob Mueller. We have 2 awards to give this year. First of all, we have to give the 1990 award because that recipient was in Canada at the time of last year's banquet. So Mr. Don McGinnity, please come forward. Don McGinnity. Don? Is he here? Where are you going? Oh, Mike went to get him. He's in the bathroom. Okay.
There he is, right there.
There's Mike. Where's Don? He's coming? Here he comes. Don, over here. Hey. Oh, it was kind of a group thing in the bathroom. Yeah, put the poker chips down and get over here. Ladies and gentlemen, Don McGinnity, along with Glenn, Jake Jacoby, were 2 of the guys that I listened to for several years when I started getting involved with racing. And this guy, I will never forget this as long as I live. Paulie Auto Parts, no hill too steep, no ditch too deep. Don McGinnity. Give him a nice round of applause. He wins the Bob Mueller Award for 1990. Now we go to 1991, and I'm not sure if the recipient... Oh, he is. Oh, he is? We think he is. Okay. The 1991 recipient of the Bob Mueller Award goes to a gentleman that has worked with Allied Auto Racing Association for several years, not only as a driver, but also as an official. We would like to have, is Ken Rennie here? Ken Rennie, is he here? I need to know if Ken's here because I just found out that the recipient is not here this evening. Ken Rennie? He's not here. Gene Minix. Gene? Ladies and gentlemen, the 1991 Bob Mueller Award goes to Mr. Carl Springer. We ask Mr. Gene Minix to come up and accept for him, please. You know, there's that old saying, you know, older than dirt. Well, I think Carl Springer's been involved in racing before dirt ever happened. He's been around and around and around. He's dedicated almost all of his free time to the sport of automobile racing, and we do appreciate his fine efforts. Once again, Mr. G. Minix accepting for the 1991 Bob Mueller Award winner, Mr. Carl Springer. Please give him a nice round of applause. Thank you. We go down to Godfrey Speedway. I will reluctantly admit to you that I was not able to make it up to Godfrey this year. It's always a fun racetrack. It's tight. There's a lot of action on that racetrack, and you know, it's in the pits, it's on the track, it's outside the track. I mean, cars are all over the place, but it's a fun place to watch racing. We'd like to congratulate Godfrey Speedway for a great 1990-91 season, and at this time, we'd like to bring forward their champions. First, in the Super Hobby Stock Division, the 1991 champion was Wes Weinman. Wes Weinman, is he here? There he is. Wes, come on, buddy. And anything at Godfrey Speedway is competitive, and there's no easy championship win there. Give Wes a nice round of applause again. He's your Super Hobby Stock champion for 1991. This next guy I've known for several years. He has been there every year, and he has made race cars do things that that no man, I don't think, has ever been able to do. He's made a run on 6 cylinders, 2 cylinders, 3 cylinders, some brakes, no brakes, roll brakes. He's done a great job, and it finally all came together for him in 1991. The Godfrey Speedway IMCA Modified Champion is Steve Myers, Sr. Steve works on his car, your car, their car. He's always in there giving everybody a hand, and he deserves another nice round of applause. Steve Myers, Sr. ladies and gentlemen. This next guy's been around. He's been a racer ever since I've known him, and he's been campaigning in recent years in a UMP late model car. The 1991 Godfrey Speedway UMP late model champion is racer Rick Bear. Rick Bear. Is Rick? Oh, accepting for Rick, and you are? Sherry. No. Mrs. Racing Rick Bear is accepting the trophy. Give her a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. She looks very nice tonight. In the sprint car division at Godfrey this year, there was a tie. These names are synonymous to sprint car racing in the area. The co-winners in the sprint car championship division at Godfrey Speedway this year, Mr. Ron Standridge and Mr. Mike Thurman. Thurman and Standridge. We understand that Ron Standridge is not here. Well, we'll see that Ron gets his. And here comes Mike. You obviously have nowhere to go after the nice program. Give Mike Thurman a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. He's the champion. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Jim Childers for the Muerer Awards.
Last Saturday night, the Midwest Auto Racing Association had their annual awards banquet, and a new champion was crowned. I think it's only the second full season that the Muerer champion had competed on the circuit, but the 1991 Midwest Auto Racing Association Muerer Midget champion out of Independence, Missouri is Phil Heavenlow. Phil Heavenlow. He's not here, but I'm sure that he would appreciate the hand that you're about to give him. We'll see that the club will get his award to him. Right now, we'd like to honor a very special driver. Every time that the Fan Club Banquet has had this great event, this particular driver has been in Indianapolis racing at the Hoosier Dome. It always coincided with that great midget event up inside the Hoosier Dome. But we have a special recognition for this particular driver. He is a 4-time Muerer Midget champion. He was the 1988 Belleville, Kansas Midget champ. And in 1989, he came back to finish runner-up behind Chuck Gurney. And with the many midget wins that he has in Muerer, he has already gotten 7 USAC midget titles, or midget feature wins. Right now, we'd like to have Steve Knipper to come up, please, for a special award. Steve Knipper out of Belleville, Illinois. Steve is a very bright, up-and-coming racer, and not only is he very competitive in the midgets, but we've been informed that he's got a Silver Crown dirt car in the garage, and if anyone, by the way, has a 355 engine, contact Walter Knipper. Walter is completing, I think, his 43rd or 44th year as a car owner and mechanic, and let me tell you, folks, he has fielded cars for Silver Crown champion Larry Rice. So I think Walter Knipper and Steve Knipper deserve another round of applause. Right now we'd like to present a special award to the Southern Illinois Quarter Midget Division. It's a sportsmanship award, and from my understandings that they have a group of kids, and that's basically what they do. They teach them sportsmanship. And a lot of the open wheel drivers have gotten started in the quarter midgets. And right now we'd like to have club president to come up, Tom McRae. Tom, are you in attendance, please? not here. Okay. He too would appreciate your applause for the effort that they're putting out and showing these young kids sportsmanship for us. Right now, we'd like to turn the program back over to Michael. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the 1991 champions with the Southwestern Auto Racing Association up in Highland, Illinois. Again, like Allied and Godfrey, we have some of the greatest racing here on the weekends anywhere in the Midwest. On a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, you can stop by and see some of the best dirt racing anywhere. And you know that, and I sincerely hope that it continues. Allied had a great year, Highland had a great year, Godfrey, again, with some changes, is putting their thing back together up there, and also St. Charles and some of the other tracks, and we wish them the best of luck in 1992. At this time, I'd like to bring forward, for his first championship in 1991, the street stock champion, Mr. Kent Zobrist. Kent would have liked to have been here last year, and he was about a handful of points away from winning the championship in 1990. He put it all together in 1991 and came home a winner. Kent Zobrist, the 1991 street stock champion at Highland Speedway. This next young man is, I'd like to introduce, is the limited sportsman champion at Highland Speedway, and this young man has a great future in racing. In 1990, he was a sportsman champ at Highland and also at Brownstown, Illinois. He comes back again in 1991 to again take the championship. Mr. Tomcat Carson. Come on, Tom. Tom really likes that racetrack up there, and I know he'd like to do about 20 minutes on the microphone. He's probably got a planned speech, but we're out of time, Tom. Give a nice round of applause for 91 sportsman champion at Highland, Tom Carson. And finally, in the modifieds, and this guy has been on the racetrack at Highland for I guess for many years, more years than he may want to remember. In 1972, he was a B-class champion. 87, he won the modified championship. He came back again to win it in 1991. The modified champ with SARA, Mr. Rick Kloos. Rick Kloos. Last night of the season, he really was happy about winning the Dash for Cash in a 50-lap feature, along with the traveling trophy. Really didn't like being on Channel 5 News for the bad flip that we had seen earlier in his career. Give a nice round of applause, Mr. Rick Kloos. At this time, I'd like to ask the president of SARA to come forward, Mr. Jim Young. Jim? For those of you who don't know, the Southwestern Auto Racing Association celebrated their 35th anniversary this year. And on behalf of the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club, Jim, we'd like to present you with this special award in recognition of 35 years of racing on the dirt up there in Highland, Illinois. Congratulations. At this time, we have some special awards to present, and I'd like to bring up the president of the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club, Mrs. Lois Taylor. Lois.
Thank you, Mike. The award that I'm about to present, I don't think the recipient is here tonight, but it's the Kurt Lehman Memorial Award, and it is presented to an individual who is supportive of local racers, who goes out of their way to see that sponsorships are there, or if there are awards that need to be a part of banquets. He works at a racetrack scoring, and the recipient of our Kurt Lehman Memorial Award this year is Craig Heimberger. I don't think Craig is here. Is he here? We will see that Craig gets the Kurt Lehman Award. But I would like to ask Jim Young to come back up here, please. Jim is about to embark on his second term as president of Southwestern Auto Racing Association, and we get a lot of feedback from various officials, fans throughout the year, telling us when somebody does an exceptional job. And I had a number of calls in the last couple months telling me that Jim brought some new ideas to Southwestern Racing, in fact, some big money ideas. And we would like to recognize your efforts, Jim, for doing so. Congratulations. The next award I'm about to present is the Ambassador's Award. And this award has gone to a number of different people for their support of auto racing. And this one tonight is a real pleasure. The individual that is our 1991 Ambassador's Award does something that probably an awful lot of us really don't take enough time to do, and that's to go out and help local charities, and he combines his efforts with racing. He's brought many race car drivers back, and if you look in your program, you will see an ad for the 5th annual Awesome Production. I'd like to ask Steve Bradley to come here and step up. Steve is with Butch Overturf has done this for the last 5 years, and they have raised
Smile, Bradley.
all kinds of money for various local charities. And if you
Smile,
have
Bradley.
anything to do on January the 18th, I'm sure that Steve would like to have you as part of it, right? I'd now like to turn the microphone back over to Mike Muerer for the purpose of doing St. Charles Speedway.
It's for him, okay, great. Again, St. Charles Speedway, great tradition, great history of St. Charles Speedway. I understand that they're putting things together for their 1992 season. We'd like to at this time recognize their 1991 champions. They ran 4 divisions there this year, and the street stock champion is Casey Pearson, Mr. Casey Pearson. Casey drives faster than he walks. Is this your first? It is your first championship, isn't it, Casey? It is, absolutely. First championship, ladies and gentlemen. I know he's happy about that. Casey Pearson. You're a good man. The next award goes to the Limited Sportsman Champion at St. Charles Speedway. I've known this guy for several years. He's really a master at setting up a race car for almost any type of surface. The 1991 Limited Sportsman Champion at St. Charles Speedway is Mr. Marty Smith. Marty Smith, is he here? I didn't see Marty. We'll get the award to him. Thank you for those applause. Back again this year at St. Charles, the Econo Late Model Division. Very competitive. I know Randy Durbin, all the Durbins, and Randy Cordy and several raced competitively over there. With the 1991 St. Charles Speedway Econo Late Model Champion is Mr. Jim Durbin. Jim Durbin. He's obviously out with Marty Smith. Here he comes. Oh, no, here he is. He was way in the back. It's nice to have a lot of race cars, isn't it, Jim? It helps. Jim, on behalf of the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club, congratulations again for the Econo Late Model Championship at St. Charles Speedway. And finally, the modified winner at St. Charles in 1991. He wasn't happy with taking home everything Allied had to offer. He had to go to St. Charles on Sunday night and race. The 1991 modified champ at St. Charles Speedway, Mr. Ed Dixon. If they had a trophy recycling center, Dixon would be about a millionaire right now, you know what I mean? He's got a ton of them. Eddie, again, congratulations. Ed Dixon, ladies and gentlemen.
down the road just a little bit to St. Francis County Raceway, where they again completed a very successful racing season. And we'll start off with the 1991 Street Stock champion, capturing his first championship in his racing career out of St. Genevieve, Missouri, Scott Stupi. Scott started racing in 1988, completed his 4th season of competition, and picking up his very first championship in our great sport of automobile racing. Check the batteries. Scott Stupi, give him one more round of applause, please. Turn now to the Sportsman Championship. This driver was the 1976 Street Stock champion at DeSoto, Missouri, the 1980 Modified champion at I-55 Raceway in Peabody, Missouri, the 1985, 1987, and 1988 Sportsman champion at St. Francis County Raceway out of Farmington, Missouri, Tommy Worley, Sr. Highlights here. He says racing side by side against his son, Tommy Jr. Tommy Worley. We move now to the Sprint Car Championship. This champion was the 1985, 1986, and 1991 Sprint champion at St. Francis County Raceway. He was the 1985 Sprint champion for the Midwest Racing Association, and he was also the 1990 and 1991 Illinois, Missouri overall Sprint champion. Out of Farmington, Missouri, 36-year-old Mike Thurman. Mike was the St. Francis County Raceway Sprint Fest 1991 champion, and he put this as some of his highlights. He had 2 top 10 finishes with the World of Outlaws, and that, my friend, is quite an accomplishment. And he would definitely like to thank his primary sponsor, Kern Racing Engines. And I might add, Mike and I have got to do a lot of sprint car racing here in the area, and I've got to do quite a bit down south. Mike Thurman had one of the best looking sprint cars I believe you'll see anywhere. That's counting the California Racing Association. Great job, Mike. And right now we'd like to move to the St. Louis Karting Association. We have a number of champions here tonight, and as quickly as possible, we'd like for you to come up and accept your championship. Moving first to the 2-cycle junior champion out of Fenton, Missouri, Randy Burnett. Randy has quite a resume. He was the 1989 4-cycle rookie champ at Whitman Raceway Park and Mid-State Park. He was the 1994 cycle champion at Whitman Park in St. Louis. In 1991, he was the 2-cycle champ at Whitman Raceway Park in St. Louis, and the 1991 IKF, International Karting Federation, Region 3 champion. One more time, Randy Burnett. And we move now to the 4-cycle rookie out of Baldwin, Missouri, Jonathan Strong. Is Jonathan here?
Here he comes. There he is.
Yeah, we saw the top of his head. Hey, this guy is a whopping 10 years old, folks. You know, something I kind of like to do to these young guys, maybe within 10 years we'll see 15 and a half years old, 15.5 and counting. He was the 1994 in the four-cycle junior class, most improved driver. And he also finished second in the two-cycle junior class. We move now to the four-cycle light division. A two-time champion. He won this award last year out of Fenton, Missouri, Joe Altall. One more round of applause for Joe Altall. He is the four-cycle light champion. We move now to the four-cycle medium champion out of Florissa, Missouri, Tom Muffler. Tom's right up here close to us. Move now to the four-cycle heavy class out of Fenton, Missouri. Your champion this year, Jim Muerer. I say this guy must add some weight to the go-kart. It's me and Mike's class, by the way. One more round of applause for Jim Muerer. Moving now to the two-cycle divisions. The champion in the Yamaha light division out of Webster Groves, Missouri, Pete Vitter. Pete lists his career highlight of 6th place at the 1991 Grand Nationals in Marshalltown, Iowa. So this young driver, once again, has a great future in racing. Here we have a tie for the Yamaha heavy class. And one of those that are tied out of St. Louis, Missouri, Charles Elkeen. And the other driver tied for the Yamaha heavy class, Perry Swaggerman out of St. Peters, Missouri. Move now to the senior sportsman division. He too won this championship back in 1990 out of Benton, Illinois, Niles Sharp. Niles, by the way, has the antique toy collection over here. Sometime tonight during the party, be sure and stop by. I'll tell you what, there is very impressive toys over there. Niles Sharp, ladies and gentlemen. And the champion of the controlled heavy class out of St. Peters, Missouri, Jeff Diskel. Jeff decided to look at the display coming up to get his award. Let me tell you, these guys are very dedicated to the sport of go-kart racing. I don't know if you're very familiar with it or not, but you can sink just as much money into a go-kart as you could, possibly one of the modifieds that race in the area. Let's give all these champions a round of applause, please. Right now, we want to ask Mike to come back up to introduce the Tri-City Speedway champ. And Mike, I might add that we get to travel quite a bit around the country doing the announcing. And for the past 2 years, Mike and I have been together over at the Tri-City Speedway. And let me tell you, this guy, not only is he a friend, but he's a doggone good guy to be around.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to, but before we get to Tri-City, I just want to remind everybody that the attendance prizes we have here this evening, and I'm not sure how the drawing is going to work, but we're going to give away some attendance prizes later on. ARCA, we'd like to thank ARCA, George Hartnagel Photography, Southwestern Auto Racing Association, Kenny Schrader Racing, Ed Watson, Midwest Auto Racing Association, Miller Motorsports, Ken Schrader Fan Club, Rusty Wallace Fan Club, St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club, Dave Bellman at Bellman GMC Pontiac and Y Speed Shop. But we have also the Illinois State Fair and the DuQuoin State Fair. We have a nice round of applause for all those people for doing that. We had one official champion at Tri-Cities Speedway this season. We had a great season. Bobby Winnie put together some great special shows, brought Kenny and Rusty and Kyle and all the outlaw people and late model people. I mean, it was a tremendous season for Tri-Cities Speedway and the entire area. If you were a race fan, people came from all over the Midwest. There were nights we had cars in that parking lot from 26 states there watching races at Tri-Cities Speedway. We wish Bobby the best of luck in 1991 as he campaigns weekly. We did have one champion, and it was in the IMCA Modified Division, and it was Mr. Charlie Smith. Is Charlie here? Charlie Smith? Here he is, right here. Charlie. IMCA Modifieds, they are a very competitive class. Once again, 8-inch tire rule. Make it as big as you want, but you have to use 8 inches to get it on the dirt. And Charlie did a fine job. Give him a nice round of applause. Charlie Smith, ladies and gentlemen. He's a winner of Tri-City in the IMCA Modified Division in 1991. At this time, I'm going to throw it back to Lois, I believe. And Lois is going to kind of wrap up the program. Once again, I just like to personally say that I think the Fan Club did an outstanding job with the 25th Awards Banquet this year. They brought in some great racers, and it's a great room. And again, I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. I'm out of here for now. Thank you.
We just got a couple left to go. On the other side, we've seen a lot of drivers come up here tonight. We would like to honor, as we do each year, a mechanic. And tonight's Mechanical Achievement Award goes to Mike Midler. And I would like to, someone's supposed to accept the award for Mike because he's at the auction, and Mike Wallace will accept the award for Mike Midler. For those of you who don't know, and I'll be perfectly honest, I was one of those people who didn't know. Mike was responsible for designing the quick release hub and socket that they use in NASCAR, and I think that's quite an accomplishment. He's also worked with Rusty Wallace on his pit crew and a number of other racers, and I wish he could be here tonight because I would personally like to talk to him about it, because I think as we read our various racing publications, we have many people in the background, Don Kern who builds engines, and just all different kinds of people in the St. Louis area that contribute to racing. And it's with real pride that we honor Mike Midler tonight. We also have another group that we would like to recognize, and many of those people race in 23 different classes, but the thing that they decided to do this year was to put on a race for charity in downtown St. Louis. They called it the Mini Indy, and we have one of their officials with us tonight. Muerer, are you here? We would like to present our Founders Award to SCCA for putting on their Mini Indy race, and Muerer is one of the pit officials for SCCA.
While Lois is trying to get her throat together, I would like to say, for those of you who don't know, that SCCA helped raise, along with Channel 5, over $120,000 for the Arthritis Foundation with that race in one afternoon. They did a tremendous job. SCCA.
The next award that I would like to move on into is Club Award. And there are many people who help make our organization a success. And this year we had 2 raffles that went to our benevolent fund. And we sent out letters to all different kinds of people asking them to sell tickets. I appreciate that response that you all gave to that, because throughout the year, unfortunately, there are people who get hurt racing. whether it be a driver, a pit crew person, or someone who might have a tragedy. And we had an individual in the club who went into this project just like you wouldn't believe, and he sold 374 tickets. I would like to ask Bill Link to come up here and accept a special award from the St. Louis Auto Racing Fan Club. I got a phone call from his mom one day, and she said that Bill wanted me to know in the fan club that A.J. Floyd had bought a ticket from him. And I think that's great. Thank you, Bill. We have an award in the club that we call the George Award, and it goes to a person who throughout the year has been the most active in our club. It was named after Frank Suggs, and for those of you who knew Frank, he called everyone George. So that's why this award is called the George Award. And we look at a lot of different things when we consider the recipient of the award. We have many activities throughout the year, the banquet that we put on, like tonight, our Indy trip, Talladega trip, the picnic, fan club nights, getting speakers to come to those events. And the person that we would like to honor tonight has been active in almost all of those. And I think this is going to be a complete surprise to her, but I'd like Linda Walsh to come up here and sit the judge award. Whenever there's been something that needed to be done, all I had to do was just get on the phone and call Linda. And I think there's a lot of associations out there who can identify with that. The karting people, she's been very supportive of her son's efforts, racing at Lebanon, and very supportive of her husband's racing efforts too. Congratulations. I think this is the first time in history that this has ever happened to us. The Kurt Lehman Memorial Award and the Dale Mueller Award are the two most prestigious awards that the club gives. And I think for the first time in history, both recipients are going to be asked. I'm going to try, though, see if I can tell you about this person. There are many of us who follow racing by television and radio. And for many years, we said that we needed a station that would bring us MRN and NASCAR. This particular station went out and did that. They did it with very little funding, very few sponsors, and for the last 2 years now, have brought us MRN racing on Sundays for almost every NASCAR race that there is. And I don't believe Ramo Johnson was supposed to accept the award for Right Radio. I think he's in DePaul Hospital with a kidney stone right now. We got a call earlier in the evening that he couldn't be here. Is Reed Hale here, program manager? Reed was going to try to make it also. But I think if any of you have a business or you would just like to make a contribution to help keep MRN going, this would be a good thing for us to get behind. And then maybe we could get some of our USAC races and other kinds of races broadcast in the St. Louis area. Letters of thank you would help also. And our Dale Mueller Award tonight goes to Right Radio. We look forward to that. It's a silver tray, and it is in memory of the founder of our club, who was a photographer. And you can read about him in the program, and I'm not going to say anything else. We also have a couple of other media awards, and I don't believe that any of those particular stations are represented. But we did want to honor Kicks Radio, or the fact that they were very supportive of Tri-City, KUSA, for everything that they did with the Mini Indy Series, the go-karts. Anytime there was a club function, we could count on them to mention it. Is John Sonderegger still here? John was here earlier in the evening. We have an award for the Post-Dispatch also for providing John with the media to write his articles and get the story out about racing. So with that, folks, I apologize for losing my voice. The body's healthy, but the voice is not. I hope that you have a good time tonight. If there's anything else that we can do to make it better, we will be giving attendance prizes away as soon as the first intermission for the band. We have the group August, and I think you'll really enjoy them. So look at the race cars, the little card display over here, and just have a good time because this party's for you. Champion a number of years. He couldn't be with us tonight, but his chief mechanic is, and we would like to recognize Dr. Stephen Overton. Is the chief mechanic here? I will apologize for that. So one of our trophy girls, where did they go? Comes around it. Steve is a guaranteed guest at next year's banquet, he told me, but he's a doctor, and his nurse in the office, her daughter's getting married tonight, so he had to be at that function, otherwise he would be here. Thank you. I'd like to thank our trophy girls, Mike and Jim, for your efforts, Larry Nuber for coming. I especially like to thank Ken Schrader for bringing the stick-up car, and the Wallaces for seeing that the Miller car get out here, and Southwestern for your two beautiful cars. Good night, folks.